Welcome to my channel, Ali's Travel Diaries. Today we will talk about Saladin, one of the greatest rulers ever. I hope you enjoy the video. Please give us your support and do not forget to like and subscribe to our channel. So who is Saladin? What was his story? Let's start now. Saladin, born in 1137 in Mesopotamia, now in Iraq, was a Muslim sultan of Egypt, Syria, Yemen, and Palestine, founder of the Ayyubid dynasty and one of the most famous Muslim hero. In wars against the Christian Crusaders, he achieved great success with the capture of Jerusalem on October 2, 1187, ending its nearly 9 decades of occupation by the Franks. Saladin was born into a prominent Kurdish family. On the night of his birth, his father, Naimal, a military leader in the service of the Zengid dynasty of northern Syria, gathered his family and moved to Aleppo, there entering the service of Ahmad ibn Sonkar, the powerful Turkish governor in northern Syria. Growing up in Baalbek and Damascus, Saladin was apparently an undistinguished youth, with a greater taste for religious studies than military training. His formal career began when he joined the staff of his uncle Asad an important military commander under the emir, Al, who was the son and successor of, during 3 military expeditions led by, into Egypt to prevent its falling to the Latin Christian rulers of the Latin Kingdom of Jerusalem, a complex three-way struggle developed between Amalrikai, the king of Jerusalem, the powerful vizier of the Egyptian, Fuafat, Emid Caliph, and after S death and after ordering S assassination, Saladin in 1169 at the age of 31 was appointed both commander of the Syrian troops in Egypt and vizier of the Fuafat, Emid Caliph there. His relatively quick rise to power must be attributed not only to the clannish nepotism of his Kurdish family but also to his own emerging talents. As vizier of Egypt, he received the title king, although he was generally known as the Sultan. In 1171, Saladin abolished the weak and unpopular Fuafat Emid Caliphate, proclaiming a return to Sunni Islam in Egypt, although he remained for a time theoretically a vassal of Al. That relationship ended with the Syrian emir's death in 1174. Using his rich agricultural possessions in Egypt as a financial base, Saladin soon moved into Syria with a small but strictly disciplined army to claim the regency on behalf of the young son of his former suzerain. Soon, however, he abandoned this claim, and from 1174 until 1186 he zealously pursued a goal, uniting under his own standard all the Muslim territories of Syria, northern Mesopotamia, Palestine, and Egypt. This he accomplished by skillful diplomacy, backed when necessary by the swift and resolute use of military force. Gradually his reputation grew as a generous and virtuous but firm ruler, devoid of pretense, licentiousness, and cruelty, in contrast to the bitter dissension and intense rivalry that had up to then hampered the Muslims in their resistance to the Crusaders. Saladin's singleness of purpose induced them to rearm both physically and spiritually. Saladin's every act was inspired by an intense and unwavering devotion to the idea of jihad or holy war. It was an essential part of his policy to encourage the growth and spread of Muslim religious institutions. He courted their scholars and preachers, founded colleges and mosques for their use, and commissioned them to write edifying works, especially on the jihad itself. Through moral regeneration, which was a genuine part of his own way of life, he tried to recreate in his own realm some of the same zeal and enthusiasm that had proved so valuable to the first generations of Muslims when, 5 centuries before, they had conquered half the known world. Saladin also succeeded in turning the military balance of power in his favor more by uniting and disciplining a great number of unruly forces than by employing new or improved military techniques. When at last, in 1187, he was able to throw his full strength into the struggle with the Latin Crusader kingdoms, his armies were their equals. On July 4, 1187, aided by his own military good sense and by a phenomenal lack of it on the part of his enemy. Saladin entrapped and destroyed in one blow an exhausted and thirst-crazed army of Crusaders at a in near Tiberias in northern Palestine. So great were the losses in the ranks of the Crusaders in this one battle that the Muslims were quickly able to overrun nearly the entire kingdom of Jerusalem. Acre, Taron, Beirut, Sidon, Nazareth, Caesarea, Jaffa Yaffo, and Ashkelon fell within 3 months. But Saladin's crowning achievement and the most disastrous blow to the whole crusading movement came on October 2nd, 1187, when the city of Jerusalem, holy to both Muslim and Christian alike, surrendered to Saladin's army after 88 years in the hands of the Franks. Saladin planned to avenge the slaughter of Muslims in Jerusalem in 1099 by killing all Christians in the city, but he agreed to let them purchase their freedom provided that the Christian defenders left the Muslim inhabitants unmolested. Sudden success, which in 1189 saw the Crusaders reduced to the occupation of only 3 cities, was, however, marred by his failure to capture Tyre, an almost impregnable coastal fortress to which the scattered Christian survivors of the recent battles flocked. It was to be the rallying point of the Latin counterattack. Most probably, Saladin did not anticipate the European reaction to his capture of Jerusalem, an event that deeply shocked the West and to which it responded with a new call for a crusade. In addition to many great nobles and famous knights, this crusade, the third, brought the kings of 3 countries into the struggle. The magnitude of the Christian effort and the lasting impression it made on contemporaries gave the name of Saladin as their gallant and chivalrous enemy an added luster that his military victories alone could never confer on him. The crusade itself was long and exhausting, despite the obvious, though at times impulsive military genius of Richard I the Lionheart. Therein lies the greatest but often unrecognized achievement of Saladin. With tired and unwilling feudal levies, committed to fight only a limited season each year, his indomitable will enabled him to fight the greatest champions of Christendom to a draw. The Crusaders retained little more than a precarious foothold on the Levantine coast, and when King Richard left the Middle East in October 1192, the battle was over. Saladin withdrew to his capital at Damascus. Soon the long campaigning seasons and the endless hours in the saddle caught up with him, and he died. While his relatives were already scrambling for pieces of the empire, his friends found that the most powerful and most generous ruler in the Muslim world had not left enough money to pay for his grave. Saladin is remembered as a brilliant military leader, a statesman of vision, and a devout Muslim. His career marked the high watermark of Muslim power in the face of the Crusader threat. In the popular imagination, he has been immortalized as the epitome of the chivalrous Muslim warrior. His skills as a tactician are evident from the fact that the Crusader kingdoms could not withstand his armies, even though he was fighting against enemies who were better equipped and had access to powerful European reinforcements. He won decisive victories at the Battle of Merit and the Battle of Hattin, and he captured Jerusalem, thereby ending 88 years of Crusader occupation of the Holy City. As a statesman, Saladin demonstrated a remarkable ability to unite rival factions and forge alliances. He built on the successes of previous Muslim leaders by continuing the fight against the Crusaders and by extending his domain across the Levant and into Egypt. In doing so, he laid the foundations of the Ayyubid dynasty, which was to endure for some time. A devout Sunni Muslim, Saladin was a patron of Islamic learning and a generous benefactor of the poor. He restored mosques and built schools and hospitals. His personal piety and his commitment to social justice endeared him to his subjects. He was known for his courage, his honesty, his magnanimity, and his refusal to be swayed by greed or ambition. It was Saladin who defined the parameters of the conflict between East and West for the following centuries. His defeat of the Crusaders at Hattin in 1187 and the fall of Jerusalem changed the character of the Crusades. whereas previously the objective had been to conquer and to hold territory from that time forward. The purpose was primarily to contain and push back Muslim expansion. Saladin was also responsible for shaping Western perceptions of the East. In the West, he became a legendary figure, the ideal of the noble savage, the enlightened Muslim who ruled wisely and justly over his people. The image was created in part by Saladin himself, who cultivated a carefully crafted public persona, and in part by his Western European enemies, who admired him despite their religious differences. Thanks for watching the video about Saladin. Please give us your support and do not forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Until next time.